What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today I want to do another video on the brutality, the tragedy of Joseph Mendoza. Joseph Mendoza, for those of you guys that don't remember, he was the convict that was brutally slain in Salinas Valley State Prison. He was hit over 180 times. When I make this video, I want to be as guarded as I can because I know that Joseph's mother is going to see this video. But I also have to be as blunt as I can be while being respectful. The family, the mother, the family have filed a lawsuit. They will win that lawsuit. It'll be long and drawn out, maybe. But the CDC knows they can't win that. There was a point where I was sent the video. I deleted the video. But I saw the video. And you could tell that it was an officer using their cell phone to record the video, sneak it out, and it was released. That's one of the parts of the lawsuit, the Kobe Bryant law. I've said it before and I'll say it again. In all my years of incarceration, that was the ugliest hit I ever saw. And one of the things that stood out to me, and I never even watched it to the end. I heard about how it ends, and that's horrible, right? But one of the things that stood out to me very quick watching that hit was that the pieces weren't even sharpened right. You could see how hard it was for them to get the pieces into them. I know that the way I remember things, you only hit somebody like that if they were cooperating with the authorities or if they were a sex offender. I've been saying in a lot of videos lately that the California Department of Corrections, they're doing things purposely to make them worse than they need to be. And they're doing it because they want to slam people back down. The indeterminate shoe program that they had in the past for decades was wrong. There should be a set amount of time for breaking rules the way it is for everybody else. But the CDC would label dudes, and I met a lot of dudes who weren't really in the mix. Maybe they did some law work. They helped somebody on a case, and they'd get slammed down. Indeterminate shoe. Never get back out. There was a lot of things wrong with that. And I don't believe that should ever be brought back. But what I do know is that what the CDC is doing, putting people together that they know can't be together. And worse than that, Joseph was stabbed over 180 times, they're saying. 180 times. Cops stood there and watched it. Throwing grenades and spraying pepper spray, shooting the block gun. They know that never has never stopped anyone determined. The Mini 14 would. 15, 20 years ago, Joseph would have lived because the CDC would have blown away one of the guys that was doing something to him. And maybe one of them would have died. But what the CDC is doing now is they're letting people finish what they started. And I don't know if people watching understand. If you live in California and you see these hits that are going down, these videos that are popping up all over the internet of all these different hits, all these different unalivings, and even if you don't see the hit, if you're reading the news, if you're hearing the news, if you're watching the news and somebody was taken out in the CDC, their family is more than likely going to file a lawsuit, and we as the taxpayers are paying for it. We are paying for the chess game that the politicians in Sacramento are playing with people's sons, fathers, uncle, grandpa, nephew. There needs to be accountability. You know, I know there's people that'll say, let them kill each other off. Man, there's a lot of good dudes in there that if they had the opportunity would come home. There are dudes that, yeah, they're doing a life sentence. They want to be able to do their time as peaceful as they can. And what does the CDC do? They throw people on the yard that they know. They might throw them in your loved one's cell or in the cell next to them. It's a cold game, man. I feel like not enough people are paying attention, and definitely not enough people care. I care, man. I left a lot of really good dudes behind those walls. I know a lot of dudes, man, that are still in the struggle, that they do what they got to do. They don't always do what they want to do. And I'll let you figure that out. This is one of the reasons why when we talk about the no hands policy, if something's serious, then treat it seriously. You're not going to go in there and mess these guys' programs up because your little feelings were hurt or your ego got in the way and you decided you're going to punch somebody. And in doing that, you get the cell searched and then maybe the tier, maybe the block, because they want to look for weapons, and you get somebody's cell phone sucked up. You get somebody's dope sucked up. You get somebody's visits taken out because they got they found some dope in their cell. They can't get a family visit anymore because now they got a dope case. Individuals don't matter in there. I talk about it all the time, but I don't want to get away from the subject, man. The subject is this. Joseph was slaughtered. Whatever happened in-house was whatever that thing was, right? But by the Constitution of the United States, as well as California, when the state of California incarcerates someone, they are in charge of their welfare and their safety. That's why they have to provide medical. That's why they have to provide food. You're not allowed to incarcerate someone and then treat them inhumanely. There's protections against that. You can't incarcerate someone and then when you see something happening, just stand by. I'm telling you. Right now, the CDC is setting up something big. I just feel it. I feel it. They're validating guys, and nowadays you get validated and you go right back to your cell. They just, took your pictures, built the packet, validated you. And they're going to keep setting people up and keep setting people up and keep setting people up. And they're going to try to figure out a way to put everybody they validated away. I remember, when the whole thing was happening in Corcoran Shoe, the Gladiators days, right? And they were releasing dudes out to the yard so they could get into it, and the cops were shooting them, and that whole thing, right? And in Pelican Bay, they popped a few doors. shot a couple people. And what did they decide up there? We're not going to be pawns. We're not going to be played by these cops. I know they wish they could do that now. But the people that they're trying to put on the yard with them, the CDC knows exactly what has to happen. We out here, whether you have a loved one incarcerated or not, we owe it to ourselves to hold these people accountable. Stop setting people up. Stop creating these scenarios and stop wasting taxpayer money. That's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.